Yes, people, Manscaped is back, but this time it's not for below the belt grooming. Manscaped brings to you the Beard Hedger, the best product on the market when it comes to beard trimmers. The Beard Hedger is unique due to its number of gradient settings. As someone who's purchased this, I won't turn to any other beard trimmer. Check it out for yourself at manscaped.com. And don't forget to use code FTM20 to get 20% off of this product.
Yes, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are listening around the world. Big up to all of you for being here. Big up to everybody that's here nice and early that has hit the like and the subscribe button. And big up to this show. 12 Man's back. Rival Talk is back. I've got a great panel. We've got Emilio over from Fulham, repping Fulham. We've got Dave repping Nottingham Forest. We've got Ash back representing Leicester. And a massive welcome back to Liam representing Southampton. Liam, it's been too long, my bro. How are you?
No, I'm really good, man. Absolute pleasure being back on the show. So absolutely buzzing. Figure a match. All good, man. Hope you're all good
Mate,
as well.
glad to have you, man. Glad to have you. And to be honest with you, you must be buzzing with the signing of our goalkeeper, which we're going to come into in a minute, man. That's for sure. So we're going to definitely talk about that, talk about transfers, talk about the weekend coming up. And of course, the League Cup games that did take place this week just gone as well, which teams like us don't have to worry about that yet. Do you know what I mean? But there we go. Listen, let's talk all things transfers. Before we do that, make sure you hit a like on this, people. Make sure you hit the button, subscribe. We are getting very close to 30k, and that is the next target. So please make sure that we can do that, people. Please make sure you check out Manscaped if you want to have a nice trimmed beard like mine or like Dave's. I mean, look at Dave's beard. He's done so well. He's completely got rid of it. So please make sure you go check out manscaped.com. Click on the Beard Hedger and use the code FTM20. You'll get 20% off of that product, the Beard Hedger. Make sure that you get it. Let's talk about transfers. Liam, I'm coming to you first because Aaron Ramsdale has made the move, it seems, to Southampton. We're just waiting for a here we go official properly, but it looks like it's done. £18 million, £1 million if Southampton stay up, 6 million in appearances and other personal stuff that you can do in terms of add-ons. I think that's an absolute steal, personally. I think that is a top goalkeeper that you're going to have. But I want to know what you think, because there are some mixed opinions about Aaron Ramsdale, to be fair. I think he's a great goalkeeper. He's done great for Arsenal. Had 2 seasons where he went for a title. Yeah, one of those, okay, sat on the bench. But the season before, he was phenomenal. Season before that, I think Ash will probably remember, pulled out one of the best saves I've ever seen at the King Power Stadium. Absolutely phenomenal save from James Maddison's free kick. And to be fair, he's pulled out some world-class saves. I didn't really want him to leave the way that he has, but I understand he wants first-team football. But what are you Saints fans saying about this signing, bro?
I think it's probably the most buzz we've been for a signing in a long time. We've always had struggles in our keeper positions for a long time. And the fact, when I saw the deal and I thought 18 million, I thought, you got to be joking, right? Like, there's got to be some like loan fee then with a buy to like be 25 or something like that. And the fact we've got 18 million, then 1 million with a relegation, like if we stay up or something, then 6 million other add-ons. When you've been asking for like 30 million all summer, I've gone, bloody hell, we've robbed you there. Absolutely robbed you. And I'm thinking, the fact we were going to be only going for a loan if one of our keepers left as well, and the fact we've actually brought a very Premier League proven keeper, a keeper who was in a team who was challenging for the title, who was very unlucky not to win the title, and was very unfortunate to be dropped to David Raya. And I do remember doing a video of you, Dan, last year with about Romeo Lavia, and you asked me, where should Arsenal strengthen? And I said goalkeeper, and you were like, what are you on about? And I thought, Aaron Ramsdale's a good keeper, but if you want to challenge for titles, he's not going to be that. But now he's coming to us. He's got a massive chance to not only prove Arsenal wrong, but prove a lot of other teams in the Premier League to show how much of a good keeper he is. We all know he's a good keeper, very rash sometimes, but he's going to be fantastic for us. And I'm absolutely buzzing because it could be the difference between staying up and going down. So very happy, very happy.
Listen, I must say this, and I'll come to you with this, Ash, because I mean, you've seen Ramsdale in action as well, and I was just listening to Sky Sports News, and they were just doing a roundup on that transfer talk that they do, which I must say I'm kind of sick of now. If I'm honest, I want this window to shut. But that's another story. Um, I was looking at it, and they were saying, "Who do you think's been the signing of the window?" And I was imagining they were going to talk about Gundogan and potentially talk about some of the players that have come in the earlier part of the window. And they kind of agreed that Aaron Ramsdale could be one of the best signings of the transfer window. And I thought that was a really interesting point. So I wanted to get your views on this deal, mate.
Yeah, it's class for Southampton. I mean, when we all know when you're a team down there fighting, one of the best things you can get is a solid goalkeeper. It was the thing that was amiss for us 2 years ago and sent us down, to be honest. So it's a massive signing, and it could well be up there with the signing of the season. I'd have Ramsdale between the sticks. I thought he was great at Arsenal. I was shocked to see him come out of the team. If I'm right, I think him and Arteta had a bit of a to do. Did the knockdown which caused it?
Well, I think the problem is Arteta wanted David Raya, and him coming in at number one, he then made the biggest mistake ever of going on a press conference and saying, "Well, we've got two number ones." There's no team that has two number ones. There's a number one and a number two, and unfortunately, Arteta has cocked this one up and he's devalued him because he was about £35 million. Everyone was putting him in team of the season. He was one of the goalkeepers of the year. I think he got close to Golden Glove. He got put in the team of the year, and everyone went brilliant. He started the season, and then he just got dumped by Raya. And then everyone wondered why he was making mistakes and his confidence went. His dad come out and obviously stuck up for his boy and said, I don't think he's been treated very well. And then obviously everyone went mental about that and said it was out of order. Well, I know Nick, and I've met Nick and Caroline many times at the games. They're absolutely unbelievable parents. They're brilliant, brilliant people. So I think people were just sticking it on him a bit too much, really. I think most father would have stuck up for their son, right? So for me, that's the way I see that. And I hope he does well at Southampton. I really hope he does well. And I actually think it's the right move for both him and the club. I don't think it's great as far as Arsenal are concerned, because I think we should have got more money for him. I think Liam's right. It's a steal. And I think he has robbed us. But I do think that it was time for him to move. I don't think there was potentially any massive fallout with him and Arteta. I just think that he was quite clear that he wasn't number one anymore.
Yeah.
So
great signing. Honestly, I think it's exciting. He's going to be evidently number one. I'm guessing Liam straight away, and then.
Well, it's either McCarthy or Lumley who are both done and done. So I mean, to be fair, I think Dave could say, when watching the game on Saturday, McCarthy made some great saves. He really did, but his ball distribution is like a robot. Honestly, it's terrible. And I know you'll kind of say, look, it doesn't really matter with the ball at your feet as long as he makes the saves. But in the Russell Martin system, if you can't play with the ball at your feet, then there's just absolutely no point. And I'll say to him, I don't know if you boys watched the playoffs, but when Bazuni got injured, McCarthy was vital because Bazuni was great with his feet, but his shot stopping was pretty poor. So I'm kind of hoping with Ramsdale, we've got the balance of both now. He's a very good, very strong keeper, very, very, very fantastic with his feet. He's a leader as well. I think he's a very passionate keeper, and that's what we need. We need leadership if you're going to stay up. And I think I was very surprised that he wanted to actually make the move to us because, it's a big downgrade. But what I like Ramsdale is I'm thinking he's wanted to change his career around. He's wanted to prove a point. He's wanting to show the people he can do it. And if we stay up this season, he'll be a big part of that, without a doubt. So
it's incredibly brave move from Ramsdale because he's starting again, basically. And no disrespect, but he's gone to Southampton, who are going to be favourites to go down, whether you like it or not. And he's going to try and prove that he's massive part to keep him up. And you need a top goalkeeper. For me, a striker and a goalkeeper, if you've got that, you cannot, without those two positions, have any chance of staying up or winning a title. No matter where you are, top or bottom, you need a top goalkeeper and a top striker, in my opinion. And if you don't have that, everyone in the window goes, we need a striker, we need a goalkeeper. Every single team. And I think
that's what let us down last time. That's what let us down last time.
There you go.
We signed an inexperienced keeper. We signed a kid from Bordeaux who's now gone to Strasbourg because he couldn't score goals, and that's what let us down last time. So it's kind of it's a bit late in the window, but I think that's a statement signing buying someone like Ramsdale, without a doubt.
Yeah, it is. And you look up, like Ash said, like I think you had Danny Ward in goal, didn't you, Ash? Like, it was like a joke, wasn't it? Like, let's be real. So for me, like looking at things, that is going to be a really good signing for Southampton. I still think you potentially need to look a little bit more in the next couple of days. I don't know what your thoughts are about that, Liam. Is there any other players you link with at all?
Not really. I think we've done a lot of the business we need, but for me, I think we still need a winger and a striker. But I think that's going to be very unlikely, especially with a day to go. So, will I be disappointed if we don't get one? No. Potentially, yeah. But I'll be very happy with the fact we've got the main position we need with Ramsdale. I don't think any Saints fan can be disappointed with that. But if we can get a winger or a striker in, I'll be even more happier. Definitely.
Yeah. Fair play to you, man. I mean, listen, Dave, I'll come to you. I thought Forest might have gone in for Ramsdale. I really did. Because I felt like the situation at Forest with the goalkeeper, I don't quite know what's going on. Although I did watch the penalty shootout last night, and wow, he is an absolute monster, that goalkeeper. 6'8" or something, isn't he? Absolutely incredible. So I don't know what your thoughts are on Ramsdale and potentially going to Forest.
Well, I think there was a large swathe of our population would have been very, very happy to have Aaron Ramsdale. As Liam says, he's an excellent keeper. He's a good personality. I saw the Arsenal documentary, and he came across as a guy who's really driven. Like you say, Dan, he looks to have a fantastic family behind him. And what father wouldn't stick up for his son? That's what love does for you. Do you know what I mean? My old man stuck up for me every day of his life. I know that for a fact. So, I would have been very happy to have Aaron Ramsdale, but he's gone to Southampton now, and I'd wish him all the best. I think he's a good kid and a good player. I think it's a really good thing for Southampton to kind of come out of the mists a bit and have a statement signing that has everybody, talking about them and taking notice, and Southampton saying, look, we're ambitious enough to go and get a guy of this caliber, Our goalkeeping situation, I mean, Matt Turner's still there, spraying balls to, none of his intended targets. Smashing lad, good shot stopper, but terrible. Vlachodimos was a terrible shot stopper, but good with his feet. We tried to kind of bring them together in some sort of hybrid. And then out of nowhere, this guy who I kind of look upon as a Nottingham Forest answer to LeBron James has turned up. And he is like, Joe Linton missed Newcastle's penalty last night. And when Joe Linton stood there waiting to take it, I mean, Joe Linton's a big lad himself, but Carlos Miguel, he was literally standing there touching the bar. He didn't have to bounce up and down to do it, So, and I thought, yeah, he might have stopped that early goal, but I thought generally he played really, really well, and he's given Nuno, who is a goalkeeper, was a goalkeeper himself, something to think about. But going back to Southampton, I mean, as Liam said, I watched them last week, and I think he's right in that Aaron Ramsdale is a really good. It's a great capture for Southampton, and I believe the amount of money there for him. Yeah, maybe some pants have been pulled down on Arsenal there, really, as you say, Dan. But I looked at Southampton, and what sticks in my mind is that actually 1-0 doesn't really tell the tale, because I thought Forest were far more comfortable than 1-0, really. I think first half, Forest, clearly the better team. There were 15 minutes after half-time where the half-time break disrupted Forest rhythm, and Southampton got on top, and then Nuno made a couple of substitutions, and the initiative went back to Forest. And I looked at Southampton, and the key, the stats that I learned later was that while Saints had 65% of it and Forest had 35% of possession, Saints XG, I think, was 0.14 or something, and Forest was 2.44 or 45, something like that, which kind of tells you the tale. And the other fact that stuck in my head is that we had 23 shots, 8 on target. Southampton, I can barely remember. Kyle Walker Peters
we had one shot on target.
Yeah, Kyle Walker Peters cut in, beat 3 or 4, and then had a shot which Matt Sells dealt with comfortably. And Saints took 128 passes per shot they had on goal. So Saints play some nice football, but it's kind of pretty stuff, and it's not really, based on what I saw last week, it's not really hurting the opposition. So I think, but I think maybe having a goalkeeper as good as that, with as much personality as that, with as much vim and vigor as that, will give the 10 in front of him maybe that little bit more confidence. You know what I mean? But as I say, it was kind of interesting to see. I was a little bit disappointed actually. I expected more of a hostile atmosphere for Forest, given it was Southampton's first game back in the Premier League. It became relatively quiet. I know some Saints fans. So I lived down that way for a long time, and I knew lots of lads who followed Saints. Great people as well, and they were getting in touch saying like, "Blimey, how much noise do the Forest fans make?" You know what I mean? So I think, Saints. Russell Martin's a really good manager. They've got some good players, Saints, but I just think it might be Cameron Archer. I don't know. He looked sharp last night. As much as one can look sharp in a bright pink kit, which is slightly garish. I want to see Liam wearing that next time. You know what I mean? He's got. He's rocking.
I refuse to wear it.
I mean, Liam's rocking the Charlie Austin beard brilliantly. He just needs that pink shirt now. You know what I mean? But my view on Saints, if I'm taking my Forest hat off, and as I always try to do on here, try to look objectively at every team. I looked at Saints and think, yeah, they've got some nice footballers. Young Diblin, I think, is going to be really, really good. He looks exciting.
He's a fantastic player.
But Saints need somebody to put the ball in the net, because Ben Brereton Diaz played out on the wing. Adam Armstrong, to me, still has to prove he can do it at this level. And that, to me, as you said, Dan, a goalkeeper, they've got a good goalkeeper. Now they need, in the next, 36, 24 hours, they need to find a striker, Saints, to me, if they are to have any chance to stay up, because we were a little bit, I thought Forest would be rushed off their feet, and that didn't happen, really.
Well, I will say this, Dave, moving to Forest quick, right? I mean, I watched last night. I didn't watch the whole game. I watched bits. I mean, I'd literally just sat down and they'd scored already, Newcastle. I thought, and Joe Willock, by the way, who got injured again. Oh my God!
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
unbelievable. But listen, you'd gone out and Newcastle were really happy with the win of it, honestly. But I just watched the Sky Sports, as I said to you, and they said, like, who's the best signing been? Who do you expect to do business? And they said, who do you think the busiest club will be? And the bloke went, Forest. And everybody sort of went, what? And he went, they got Marinakis. They'll be busy in the last 2 days. They'll get probably another 6 players in. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I don't know if that's true or what you're hearing.
Well, to be honest with you, Dan, 2 seasons ago when we came up, yeah, absolutely. It's a trope that was true. To slightly lesser extent, it was still true last season. But this season, I think it's been more measured. There've been quite a few ins, but there've been a hell of a lot of outgoings that allowed us to avoid, the awfulness of another points deduction, which was I didn't care about anything else. I didn't care who they brought in, whatever. Just make sure we're not having points taken away through poor administration and not being within the rules, right? I did not want that again. So, the likes of Niakate, Mangala and Vlachodimos have all gone, and that allowed us to deal with PSR and put that to bed, right? And the ones that have come in have been relatively cheap. I mean, last night Moreira played 1.5 million from St. Pauli. The lad in goal, Carlos Miguel, 3 million from Corinthians. Milenkovic, 12 million from Fiorentina, not that much. And I think he's going to be a really good player for him. He looks like an assassin for an Eastern European drugs gang, which is enough to frighten anybody. He runs on with the red shirt, and I'm like hiding because I think he's going to come. He looks a really good player, him. And then Elliot Anderson, who I think has played really well. I thought he was excellent first half against Southampton before tailing off a little bit. So it hasn't been bonkers. I do think I'm kind of hoping there's another striker coming tomorrow. We were linked with obviously Eddie, but then I thought Eddie would never leave London. I thought Palace is ideal for Eddie. I think Palace is better for Eddie than Forest is, really. Jimenez, a Mexican at Feyenoord, we were linked with him very strongly. He rejected us because I believe he wants to go and play for Arne Slot, and who can blame him? Because he knows Arne Slot. The one we've been linked with, and I watched a lot of Bundesliga for the first time in my life last season. We've been linked with a lad called Marmouche, who plays for Eintracht Frankfurt. And what I saw of him last year, he looks quite a sharp lad. Something a bit different from Woody and a bit different from Taiwo, who I worry about Taiwo. He just doesn't seem to have come back from those injuries, and if you like, that penalty last night kind of told the tale. But I think
he looked gutted, didn't he? He looked gutted.
He did. He's a lovely fella. Taiwo's the nicest guy. You know, I mean, to be fair, our lads are a good bunch of lads. You know, they do lots of good stuff in the community, and they always come across really, really well. There's no people there who think they're better than they are. And I think if they did think that, Nuno would soon deal with it. You know, but with regards to transfer business, yeah, I'd like another striker, something slightly different to what we've got. But you know what, Dan? I mean, I go back to Saturday, and it was a really encouraging performance by us. Last night, if you take out that early Newcastle goal, and then the 10 minutes where our lads, I mean, let's put it like this. Eddie picked a strong first team. Eddie said, I want to win the League Cup. Nuno made 10 changes. Only Elliot Anderson survived from Southampton. So Nuno was kind of saying, okay, let's look at the supporting cast, which I think he needed to do at some point. And then they score early on. My thought is, oh, crikey, this is going to be a slaughter. And then Forest actually played some really good football then. I think it was a really fun game to watch. I enjoyed what Newcastle did. I enjoyed what our lads did. And it was a shame in the end. I mean, really, it shouldn't have been an even game. Newcastle should have won comfortably with that lineup. But some of these Forest lads have really stuck their hands up and said to Nuno, can you consider me for Wolves on Saturday? So, you know, our week's been really good from, okay, I tell you what, Dad, everybody came out of City Ground last night and we lost, but everybody's talking about the positives, which is great. And then to top it all, today, the first Nottingham Forest player since 1997 has been selected for an England squad in Morgan. Yeah. And Morgan. I think and to me, you could say, well, it's not that great a week because we lost last night, but in terms of the football we've seen, I think it's, you know, we had 2 years of low block and grittily hanging on to our status in this division, Dan. But the football at Southampton, Liam will say to you, and a lot of Southampton fans say, blimey, Forest played some really good stuff there. And then actually, last night in losing, the football was even better again. So I think, I'm, you know me, I never go over the top, but I'm still quietly, cautiously optimistic.
What about James Ward-Prowse? I mean, Liam knows him really well. You've been linked with him from West Ham as well.
Yeah, I'd love him. I think he's a great professional. You know, he's got this. He's a bit like Liam Neeson, isn't he? He's got a particular set of skills. You know, James Ward-Prowse. You know, and I'd like the idea for Forest to go somewhere and have this little sort of cordon of free kicks around the 18-yard box, and then think, now then, who's going to take that? Morgan, step aside. Elliot Anderson, step aside. JWP, if you'd like to have a go at this free kick, you know, I'd love him. I think. I honestly don't know why he's fallen so quickly down the pecking order at West Ham. I think he's a terrific player, a good lad, and I think if he was a Forest player at the end of tomorrow night when the close is done, I'd be chuffed to bits. I really would. I really like James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, listen, I'm a big fan. I think he's a true professional. He's a set piece taker. He's got an unbelievable right foot on him. I know, Liam. Would you have him back, Liam?
No.
I don't always greener.
I love him. He's a club legend. Like you said, the grass isn't always greener. He could have stayed, been a club legend. No, do I blame him for going? No. Do I like his reasons for going? He wanted to be back in the England squad. That was never going to happen. Never going to happen. So it's unfortunate it hasn't worked out for West Ham for him. But yeah, if he went to Forest, I think he'd do quite well there. I think. You know, Forest bullied us on Saturday, and that was they outplayed us, they bullied us. And I think James Ward-Prowse would like that, being next to someone like Sangara and having Anderson and Gibbs White. So yeah, it wouldn't be a bad sign for Forest at all.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree, I must say. Emilio, let's come to you, my friend. Fulham, is there any real talk for your end about Reece Nelson and Fulham? Because that was sort of loosely being rumoured, mate.
Yeah, it's the same with Nketiah, wasn't it? I remember having a conversation with you last week. Then Forest went for him. Then it all fell through. He's gone to Palace. So, you know, we've done a lot of our business early this season, which is good, which is unusual for our club. We're hanging on with 48 hours to go, and they'll end up buying one of our players on loan, or buying them outright just before the transfer window ends. We've done most of our business early. We're still probably a couple players short. I still think we're short of at least one wide player. We're not looking for a striker, but I think we need a striker. I've been saying since even Mitrovic was there when he was injured, and he got suspended 18 months ago because of all the incident at Old Trafford. Missing 9 games. We looked a little bit lightweight in attack then. Last year, Mooney's had a great purple patch. All those back-to-back goals and but I haven't seen enough from him in the last 10 games of last season. Nothing in pre-season. and he's looked lackluster in the first couple of games of the season. And I can't say a bad word about it because I'm in a minority. I said, look, you've got to give him time. He will get stronger. But there's moments when he's looking strong on the ball. He holds the ball up well, but does he know the back of the net? Again, it's like he was wasteful against Leicester last weekend. Ash, I think there was a couple of times. If there was being reflective, Mitrovic was there, he would have scored 2 of those 3 chances.
Yeah,
he didn't really hurt the goalkeeper in any of those 3, and that's the difference, right? He's young, he's raw, but we need backup there. If he gets injured, Raul Jimenez, he's the second most expensive player at the club, offers very little. So Reece Nelson would be a great signing for the club. I've seen we're linked with Josh Brownhill from Burnley as well. That's come into play in the last 12 hours. Again, a good signing. I think he'll be good for ourselves. But these new players, again, the more players you bring in, the more time it takes to adjust, fit the system. That's going to be another half dozen games. Some of our players have started well. Smith Row, he's getting more game time. Great goal. He scored at the weekend from
Absolutely.
the team. He played 60 minutes at Old Trafford the week before last. Played 70 minutes on Saturday. He'll get better, fitter, and stronger, and more effective game by game. And we had the cup game in midweek. To be honest with you, a bit like you, Dave, we made 11 changes for the first time in many a season. We've actually got 2 squads, if that makes sense.
What do you make to this comment, Emilio? Quickly, Martin says Fulham granted 1 the other day, but Birmingham absolutely dominated them. I mean, I didn't watch the game.
If as a neutral, Birmingham looked good. They were up for it more than we had, but not being arrogant here. But it's at times we felt, well, why did we need to stretch ourselves? There's nothing. We're 1-0 up, got a second goal, game over. We closed the game out. Why push yourself out of second gear? Birmingham looked good. I think they'll get promoted. They were a good team, but why did we need to stretch ourselves? I was disappointed, to be honest, with the performance on Tuesday night. I thought maybe of the 11 on the pitch, Joachim Andersen had a great, good assist, got back to his trademark skills there. He's knocking on the door to probably be in a starting 11 very soon. But the other 10 didn't do enough for me. They didn't earn the right to be knocking on that door in that first starting 11. So we've got 2 squads, a very experienced second starting 11. Sander Berger, I was a bit downbeat on the show a week ago. He looked awful on Tuesday night. So again, got to give him time, get him to adjust. But he looked a bit of a lanky 6 foot, whatever it is. And I didn't like the look of him. But 1 game, too early to judge. But we've got more depth in the squad, but we are still 2 or 3 players short. I want another backup keeper. If Bernd Leno was to ever get injured, suspended, or what have you, we've sold our number 2 goalkeeper on a free in the summer. Our second keeper not good enough. We need another striker. We need at least another winger. So I still expect there will be a couple signings tomorrow, maybe 1 or 2 loans, maybe another permanent signing. But there's a lot of speculation. There's a Lille winger that we've been linked to as well. Don't know much about him, but lots of links, rumours. So until it's all signed on the dotted line, I'll take it for real. And James Ward-Prowse, we were after him a year ago. He would definitely have done a good job at Fulham a year ago. Good at He started really well at West Ham last year. I don't know why it's all gone a bit second half of last season, but I still think he'll be a good signing for Forest. Good experience into your team, and that Forest team is looking strong. It's got depth, and we're trying to do that ourselves. And we're trying to build depth end to end. We've got 2 players in every position, so we've got a lot to look forward to. But it's going to take time for the players to gel into the system and just find their way, and and really make it. But we'll get better. We weren't great against Leicester last weekend, but we were still technically the better team. At the times I think we gave you a bit too, I won't say respect, Ash. You did what Steve Cooper did best. Put us on the back foot the last 20 minutes. We were making silly mistakes, schoolboy errors, and on another day you might have capitalized on that. But I felt we were still in control. But Steve Cooper just kept the momentum, kept the pressure, and forcing us to make those errors. But overall, I think, like you, Dave, I'm quietly confident we should be doing well this season. We've got a good squad. Yeah. But that game against Birmingham Tuesday night, some of those fringe players have got to start stepping up and knock on the front door to get any chance to start in that starting 11. Otherwise, you're relying too much on your starting 11, which is on paper very, very strong. And you've got a few fringe players are knocking on the door. But 2 more signings, and I'll be happy.
Well, listen, it might be Reece Nelson. I mean, I think we want about 20 million for him. Whether you're going to pay that or not, I don't know. But we've got to start getting better at trying to sell these players for sure. But wanted to ask you on Smith Row, Emilio, and also Martin wants to ask you on Stansfield's future.
Yeah. So on the Stansfield first. So difficult to judge, right? I think he's an unusual striker. He can play in various different positions. You saw those who watched the game against Birmingham on Tuesday night did a lot of defending for a young lad. So he was up and down the pitch. He took his goal well. He's got a good poacher's instinct about him. I think that he's young. He's hungry. Is he capable of playing against Premier League teams week in, week out? I'm not sure, to be honest. I still see him as being a squad player on the bench, impact sub maybe. I don't see him pushing to be a starting. Even Muniz is drifting out of form. I think Raul Jimenez will be the natural replacement for him, not Stansfield. So, but he's young, he's raw. I don't want to sell him, but to be honest, if some other more experienced player comes available, and could be that Stansfield goes the other way. I hope not. But is he good enough to be starting week in, week out? Not yet. He needs experience. But he's 23, 24 now, and if he needs to start really making his mark. Otherwise, you're going to see a wasted talent there. Might be more effective at another club. But keep him for now. He's young. He's hungry. He's got good potential, but not doing probably a long way from being a regular starting 11, certainly in the Premier League. And Smith Rowe, yeah, he looked better. He played more advanced last weekend. So against Man United, it was intentionally played in a more defensive role because he was still not fit. Still needed some game time. So playing in an area where he was a little bit more protected from his defence, and Pereira was also playing in that sort of defensive midfield role a couple of weeks ago, but played more advanced on Saturday. The link-up play with Robinson on the left with Iwobi looked a little bit more neat. It was tight, it was quick, and he good move. He went past the defender and buried the ball in the back of the net. The keeper potentially could have done a little bit better, but there was enough power on the shot to get in the back of the net. But that's what we've bought him for. His intelligence, his passing, his vision, and his pace, and he will get faster and more effective. So yeah, 70 minutes last week against Leicester. We got Ipswich away on Saturday. He'll probably play 75, 80 minutes, and he'll get better and stronger game in, game out. So overall, he's going to be a very important player for us. He needs to stay fit, because if he breaks down and has an injury, then we could have a spot buy. We've got a lot of average to good players in that position, very similar players, but we've spent a lot of money on him, so he needs to stay fit and make his mark at the club, and he can have a very successful future at Fulham. So I'm very excited by him, as are most of the fans.
Yeah, listen, I love him. I think he's an absolute baller. If you keep him fit, I think he'll have a great sign in there. I really do. And if you get Reece as well, we could have Reece and Smith Rowe either side, Iwobi as well. You're getting all these ex-Arsenal players, Leno, you know what I mean?
Leno's a bargain
5 years ago.
Bargain player. He's almost expensive player at the club, but he's worth every penny. And Leno's been outstanding. Yeah, there's moments when goalkeepers do what they do. They like to pass from the back, and there have been moments when you're like, why are we, it's another moment. But then he resurrects himself by making some clinical saves. So top signing. But the way he celebrated that goal, I don't know if you saw his celebration, how much it meant for him to get back into winning ways, playing for the club, starting the games, scoring a great goal. Just the passion there, that incites a lot of motivation in the club. So I'm looking forward to him. He needs to stay fit, and this could be a very good season for us. But like Dave said,
a great lad, man.
Yeah, we should be good enough to stay in this division. That's the thing.
100%, man. 100%. For sure. Ash,
yes.
What are you saying, bro? Jamie Vardy up top still at 37, doing his bit. Anything else happening at Leicester? Any incomings? Any outgoings?
Yeah. So it looks like we're getting somebody called El Kanous, Moroccan lad, over the line. He's a centre attacking midfielder. He's from Genk. I think we're paying around 20 million for him. He was having a medical today, and we're looking for a striker as well, I believe, from Panathinaikos. And I think a lot of the deal hinges on whether they actually qualify for the Conference League, and I think they're playing tonight. So I think Cooper is, in his press conference, was saying that he's hoping for more incomings. We're sending a lot of the younger lads out on loan now that have been knocking on the door from the 21s for a while. Sammy Baybrook's gone to Dundee to get some minutes in his legs, and I feel like some of these guys knocking on the door just need that now, which is, the experience of playing full 90 minutes, a very physical game in a different league, come back and they'll be ready for the starting lineup. But I can see it being a busy day at Leicester for outgoings and the incomings. I think we'll get the El Kanous over the line, and I think if we don't get the strike from Panathinaikos, it wouldn't surprise me if we rushed for Fofana. because we were linked to him as well. So yeah, it won't surprise me to see a couple come in for Leicester tomorrow. I know there's been strong rumours about the financial restrictions and this and that, but we still seem to be spending the money. That's not been an issue. We've signed a centre back, we've signed Skip, we've signed Ayew. You know, they're spending the money. It's not that they're not. So yeah, hopefully.
What do you think? What do you think of Ayew? And you got Skip and Winks in midfield now, man.
Yeah.
Two Tottenham rejects, man. What's happening?
I know, yeah, I know. So do you know what? Ayew, I know we were playing Tranmere, but Ayew looked fantastic the other night. And even when he come on against Fulham, you know, he was doing exactly what D put in the group to me, which is he wins fouls, he's awkward, he holds the ball up well, and he works hard. So I've got no complaints about Ayew. Like, I get a bit frustrated when the fan base like get aggressive about signings. Oh, you've paid 8-9 million for him. We've paid 20-30 million for players with a posh name from abroad before, and they've been shit. You know what I mean? And that's
good to have you back, Ash. Good to have you back, mate.
Yeah, you know, Slimani's just a prime example of it.
Oh,
yeah.
Who was the other guy that we signed at the same time? Oh, I'm trying to think of his name. Ahmed Musa as well. Scored in the pre-season against Barcelona. Never seen him do anything since that. So yeah,
I remember Turkish saying to me in the studio, "I really like that Patson Daka. I think we should get him at Arsenal." And he's done nothing really, has he?
He's a donkey as well. He is.
Bag of wind. He can't stay on his feet. That's the problem. Like, he's got no physical presence. And this is why Vardy's still playing up top at 37 years old, because he's still the best out of a bad bunch up top at the minute, to be honest with you, Dan. And yeah, so hopefully we get enough quality.
I think the reason we were linked with him was because his name was Daka and we had Xhaka and Saka at the same time. That was the only reason.
Yeah, all you needed was a knacker to go with it.
Yeah,
you know?
Literally, yeah. But no, honestly,
Williams.
Yeah, I think when we had Laka, so that was it. We knew there was three. There was Saka, Xhaka, and Lacazette. Yeah, everybody did that. Yeah, it was crazy.
But yeah, I suppose just the ambition is to just get that little bit more quality over the line tomorrow to have a fighting chance. We all know that we're probably going to be facing a points deduction, which could be anywhere from, I think it could be from 6 points to 10 points, and we've just got to get on with it. But you know, it realistically, 10 points is 3 wins that you probably weren't expecting if you pour shift in, and a point. That's the way I'm trying to look at it. So, yeah, let's go for it. I'm just here for the ride this season, Dan. I'm not expecting much, but at both games I've watched this season, I'm filled with confidence because we're giving it a go. You know, that's all I can ask.
I mean, I was impressed with you against Spurs for giving it a
second half, superb.
The first half, I thought you were going to get hammered. Obviously, Body turned up in a second, and then against Fulham, I must say, you know, like as Emilio said, you know, it was job done as far as Fulham concerned, but it wasn't like you walked away thinking, "Oh my God, we're going to get battered 4 or 5 every week." Do you know what I mean? So I think fair play. The only reason I've got Leicester struggling is because of the points deduction, bro. That's the only reason, because I know it's coming, or we think it's coming. I just don't know that you can lose points in that. I just don't think you can in this league and be safe and be guaranteed to be up. So I think that Leicester might struggle because of that. And it's mad really to think where Leicester will come from and where they were 5 years ago. It was looking, or maybe a bit longer than that now. Obviously, it was looking like come off the back of an unbelievable Premier League win, FA Cup win, looking good under Rodgers. And since then, like, players are left and players have, I don't think, treated the club very well. Tielemans, Maddison, just walking around a pitch waiting for him to go. You don't want that. It's kind of feel like you've got to build it up again and try and get players that want to wear the shirt again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's players that are going to come in, put a shift in for the shirt that they're in. When we were in the Premier League, Dan, I was on your Race for Europe show one season. You know what I mean? This is how quick it's fallen. You know.
And unlike certain other individuals, Arash, we're not changed in any way, shape, or form, mate. You've come back the same. You know, like I'm loving sitting here watching Liam's come back, and he's in full flow. Ash is in full flow. There are people who've left our humble abode and gone elsewhere, and not quite the same as they were
Well,
before.
hopefully we'll both be back for good rather than another season.
Yeah. As long as you're not saying goodbye, Dave, in May, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I saw about Vardy. I don't know.
We might just have to say goodbye, D, instead.
Hey.
Liam, honestly, you joke, but that it could well happen with Palace.
Go down.
I don't see any signs of them looking very good at the minute, do you guys?
No.
Well, D will be absolutely distraught, mate. He'll be distraught. He thinks we're all deluded for thinking that Palace might be in trouble. Listen, if they keep their players, then fair play. But at the moment, I don't
if
know.
he
It looks
mentions
like they
me in the
might
chat, I'll be
keep-
muting it.
Yeah, he will. I'll clip this up and I'll send it to D, and then he'll come for you, Liam. That's what
I'll be turning my phone off.
Yeah, just ignore him. It's best just to ignore him. That's the
The
problem.
only thing I
with
want to add as well,
Lawless.
Ash, sorry to interrupt, is looking at Vardy on Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't think is your answer up front. I'll say
No.
we defended well against him. It didn't get much out of our defence, to be honest with you. He looked a little bit lackluster off the pace. Looked 37-year-old striker. So yeah, he'll come in maybe as an impact sub, that big player, big history, but you need someone else up there to be a bit like Liam. You need a striker up there, to be honest with you. I don't think, from what I saw last week, he might be up for games against Liverpool, big, Arsenal, top four. But for for those bottom of the 10 teams, is he up for that type of challenge?
No.
I didn't see enough of him on Saturday. He didn't influence the game in any shape or form.
No, I completely agree. And this is the thing where you sort of sit and think, you know what, his legs are actually going now, because that guy even 3-4 years ago was an impact player. Any game he started, he would cause trouble for any back line. But now you're very right, Emilio. He can go missing in games now, which is sad to see. Obviously, like I'm not talking bad about the man. He's 37 and playing Premier League football still, So and he will always be a hero to Leicester City. But I must agree with you, and it's just unfortunate because we played Cannon last season for a couple of games. Tom Cannon,
yeah, he looked good,
and he was finding the net. And I just don't know what's gone on, because he was playing off the shoulder a bit like Vardy does as well, and it worked. It seemed to work, but then he sort of switched it up and went with Daka and Nacho. Obviously, Nacho's gone. Daka's injured and shite anyway. But so we just need to. I think we do need to get a striker over the line. We do desperately.
Yeah, man. It's like goes back to that thing: goalkeeper and striker. We all need them. We all need a top goalkeeper and a top striker. That's for sure. Might as well stay with you quickly, Ash, with the weekend. Obviously, you've got Aston Villa at the King Power. It's going to be tough, man. Trust me. I played him at the weekend, and it weren't fun with Emery and how he sets up tactically. They've got a really good squad as well. Actually, I looked at their bench and I looked at ours, and I thought, do you know what? Villa have got a squad now. I mean, I looked at Barkley warming up. I looked at Buendia, who's back. They've got Boubacar Kamara still there. They've got Whitf and Jacob Ramsey and this. And I'm thinking, bloody hell, Villa have got a squad, What are you saying, Ash, this weekend?
Yeah, it's definitely the team I look at with envy, thinking that was us 3-4 years ago with all that ambition, And that's just I can't help but feeling like that about the situation that they have. They've got strength in depth now. They're ambitious. They've got a good manager in. Like you say, Dan, they play some lovely football. They're set up well, and it's not. No game's going to be easy this season, but it's not a game I'm looking forward to. I think if we get it wrong, we could be in for a bit of a pasting, to be honest with you. But we've just got to show grit and determination. All we can do this season is try and make it hard for teams that come to the King Power, and that's all we can do. And I think that's the way we've got to approach it. Get a result by any shape or form, but whether it will happen, no, I don't think so.
Interesting, man. Emilio, Ipswich, Portman Road, very difficult. I kind of fancy Ipswich to nick a point here. I'm sorry to say, but I might be wrong. I normally am. So what are you saying, Emilio?
Yeah, they don't know what to expect. Now, they've got two of their hardest games out of the way already. They didn't really disgrace themselves in either of those games. I think they started promising, as you would do. When we've all got promoted into the Premier League, you're always up for the first 20, 30 minutes, and then time will catch up on you, and then the quality then tends to.
Their keeper didn't do them any favours, did he? Let's be real.
No. Well, we beat them last year in the Cup away from when they went through this strong run in the Championship. They were top. I think were they unbeaten at home. They had a particularly strong record around October, November time last year. We beat them at 3-1 at their ground. Again, they made some some changes to their starting eleven. So did we, but we outmatched them quite comfortably last year. So hopefully we'll do the same. Portman Road's not an easy place to go to. They'll be up for it. They'll see this as an opportunity for them to get one of their 3 points on the board. I'm reasonably confident if we can play. If we have our starting 11 like we did against Leicester, I don't think there'll be any changes to that starting 11. We will get better. Players will start, like I said, adjust, get fitter. I'd expect at least a point if not more. I'll be disappointed if we don't get anything out of the game, to be honest with you. We should, if we want to, Fulham want to aim for top 10, top 11 finishes season in, season out. No disrespect to Ipswich, these are games you need to be winning. So I'm confident we'll get a draw. Probably even nick a 2-1 win, to be honest with you. But Ipswich will make it certainly difficult for us. They've got a passionate crowd there. And I'm glad to see them in the Premier League. But don't really know what to expect from them because they got knocked out of the cup at the week and midweek as well. It's against Wimbledon, one of my local teams. Penalties. That's good for our local teams, and they might be on the backlash for that. I think actually they want to resurrect, come in and make a difference. But we should be good enough to go there and not fear them. So I'm confident we can get something out of the game. 2-1 to Fulham.
Interesting. I do think it'll be a tough game. You should win the game. I'm kind of bigging up Ipswich because I kind of got a bit of a soft spot for them. So I'm hoping they do stay up this season. But I mean, they've bought, as Pete in the chat, so they bought 14 players in. So they're trying to go for it at least. But, maybe sometimes you can bring too many players in. Liam, tough trip to Brentford. But they haven't got no Ivan Toney. Looks like he's either off to Saudi, Chelsea, or even Arsenal are interested to that apparently. So he's definitely leaving. And Mbeumo and Wissa are decent players. However, that was a snooze fest at Anfield the other day. I watched the Liverpool game in Brentford. It was just a pretty much walk in the park for Liverpool at times in that game, I thought. But what are you saying about this one, bro?
Well, we don't have a great record at Brentford. We've played at their new ground 2 times and lost 3-0 both times, so hopefully it's not an annual 3-0 loss. But I think after last night, I'm a bit more confident. Obviously, Cardiff played very well against us, but we did play a second string side. A lot of our new signers played. I was pretty happy with Cam Archer, 2 quality finishes. A few of our, like Chukwueze on loan from Chelsea, very good. Fernandez from Sporting Lisbon, very good as well. And I think if Russell changes up, we can't play the same team as last week. We're too very boring, very negative. We've just got to give this Premier League a good run. And Brentford are a side. They only won 1-0 last night against Colchester. They're a very, very good side, even without Tony. I really like Thomas Frank. Great side, great players. Hoping we can get first 3 points of the season, but it's not going to be an easy game. But I think it'll be close, and I'll go for a draw. Hopefully, be a bit optimistic, but you never know. Let's just see how we play. We've got Man United next, so if we want to be staying up, games like Brentford, we've got to win. And for Forest last week, we had to win that. So I'm sure Dave will be happy that they're winning those type of games already. So hopefully, give it a go. You never know.
Yeah, 100% give it a go, man. And Brentford are beatable, man, for sure. So let's see what happens there. Dave, your team that you're facing just lost 6-2 to Chelsea. So it's probably a good time to face them, mate. I've say that I thought Wolves would be okay this season. A lot of people have tipped them to be in the relegation fight and go down. I mean, that's fair when you look at what they've done in the first couple of games. Against us, they actually could have done a bit better. David Raya pulled off a couple of world-class saves, but we were controlling them and dominant. And then they got battered in the second half by Chelsea. I don't know what Gary O'Neill said to him in the second half, by the way, because they're actually giving Chelsea a game in the first half. Madueke just absolutely walked through them for a hat-trick. What are you saying about this game, Dave?
Well, based on the evidence, if you present Exhibit A, Nottingham Forest in the 2 games, and you present Exhibit B, Wolverhampton Wanderers in the 2 games, it kind of looks like a home win, really, because, Forest, I thought Forest were excellent first half against Bournemouth, kind of lost their way a bit. Second half, really good for the vast majority of the game against Southampton. The second string last night played some really good football against an established top 7 or 8 team who I thought would beat us. And going into it, I think we're in a good space. I've seen Nuno's press conference today. He was really, despite the outcome in the end last night, he was really happy with what he saw. If he was having a look-see at what the new guys can do, I think he'd been really impressed, especially the likes of Jota Silva, Ramon Sousa, LeBron James in goal, the big fella. Moreno played really well, I thought. Alex Moreno had a good game, so he will have had a good look-see. And I think Forest will go into this based on what they've done in a pretty good headspace. But you know what? When you've just lost 6-2, it done half focus the mind. Now, I run a team for years and years, right? And I always was wary of a team that had just come off a thumping. Because what Gary O'Neill will have done this week on the training ground with them lads, he'll say, it does not happen again. And they will be working their bits and bobs off to make sure that what happened last Sunday in the second half, because like you say, Dan, the first half, 2-2, cracking game of football. It went hither and thither and was really good to watch, especially if you're a neutral. And then all of a sudden, Chelsea came out of the tunnel for the second half and Wolves stayed inside. And I think they must have sat watching a film or something because they did not come back out until Molyneux, right? Cooney said it when he was interviewed after, I don't know what happened. I don't think Gary knew what happened, but he'll be making damn sure, Gary O'Neill, that it does not happen again. And I'm always a bit wary. I actually would be slightly more confident about Forest if Wolves are coming off having, say, got a draw against Chelsea or beaten them. So, you know, I've seen quite a few predictions and they got us to win. I don't think it'll be a spectacular game for sure, because I don't think they're, you know, they create some chances but don't stick them away. We're sort of in the same ballpark, if you like. But I just kind of got this, the heart says 1-0 to Forest, but the head and if you like, the objectivity says it could be a draw. But if it was a draw and that's 5 points out of 9 for us, I'd be quite happy with that, really. I think that would be all right. That'd be a decent start to the season. If we're sat there Saturday night down with 7 from 9, I'm going to have a massive grin on my face for the entire fortnight of the international break. I mean, this is not to rub it in on Liam, because I think he's such a lovely lad. I love listening to him talk. He talks a lot of sense. But when we walked out of St Mary's, I was with Dore and a few of the lads, and I looked at my phone and went, bloody hell, we're in the Champions League spots. I said, all we need now, we need Arsenal and Villa to have their game postponed and we can stay in the Champions League spot. Bleeding Arsenal went and did what they did, didn't they? And knocked us down. And then Liverpool pushed us out of the 5th spot. Okay, what kind of parallel dimension is this that Nottingham Forest are in the top 4, top 5, top 6? But it'll be a tight game. It would not surprise me if Wolves come and are unbelievably obdurate to kind of stop Forest. If the Forest that turned up at Southampton, you know, recreates that effort where they have that many shots on goal and, you know, create so much from such little possession, Wolves might have an issue. I think it's a really fascinating game, to be honest. I kind of wish I was watching it as a neutral, but my heart bleeds Garibaldi red, as you know. So we'll see. I just heart 1-0 Forest, head draw.
Interesting, man. I think you might beat them. I think it's a good time to play them. I really do, and I think you've got an opportunity to do it. And you know, where I predicted Forest this season, it could change by the time this transfer window shuts. I mean, I'm just
Dan, please leave that as it was, mate. I was
When you
said it.
No pressure then, is there? No pressure then.
I've sent it to Nuno, Dan, and Nuno's put it up in the dressing room. The lads are all. Chris Wood gets them all together and he goes, right, lads, come over here and watch this. And what they do, they look at, that's the Dan Potts prediction there, mate. You know what I mean? So the Forest boys are all having a look at, that's how influential in the world of football you are, Dan Potts. You know what I mean?
Well, listen, that can change in the transfer window in the next couple of days, man. Apparently, James Ward-Prowse is close. They're saying James Ward-Prowse is potentially going to Forest. So that could be one of the players coming in. And I wanted to chuck this one at you, Liam. Kyle's staying that Southampton are close to agreeing a season-long loan for Maxwell Cornet. Deal is almost done, apparently. I don't know what your thoughts are about that.
Not a bad sign on a season loan. Did well with Burnley. But throws out West Ham a bit. So I said, well,
no players left. Just telling everybody. What's going on there?
Lawrence is getting his boots on.
He's at West Ham, isn't he? But that won't be a bad sign at all.
No.
Listen, if he can find the Burnley form, that would be a very good sign. I think he didn't really get a chance at West Ham. Moyes didn't really fancy him. So, we'll see where you're at there. But listen, big up to all of you for coming on, man. Much appreciated as ever. Big up to everyone that's been in the chat as well. Make sure you do me a favor. Make sure you hit the like button and make sure you subscribe as well. And also, once you've done that and showed Manscaped some love on the beard hedger, which is 20% off using the code FTM20. Do me a favor also and come and follow these guys, man. Make sure you go follow Liam on his Twitter handle there. Make sure you go follow Ash as well. Make sure you follow Dave and Emilio who at the moment is on Teddy Nello, but also the Fulham Pulse. New channel, Emilio, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. New channel, yep. So that's just literally just set up about 24 hours ago. So slowly starting to build new content. Just need a bit of time to set it up, shape it up. But yeah, follow me on that. All things Fulham, and Teddy Nello is just me privately. So yeah, looking forward to kicking on and talking all about Fulham.
Absolutely, man. Come on, come show Emilio some love. The Fulham
Please
Pulse.
do,
Make sure
please
you're
do.
there
Yeah.
for the subscribers. Make sure you get his subscribers up, people. Everybody, we got nearly 300, 400 people in here. We're listening. Let's go. Everyone subscribe to get Emilio up to 300 subs already, man. That's the way to
Please
do it.
do. Thank you very much.
Let's do it. Big up to all of you. We'll see you next time. Take it easy. And as always, up the Arsenal. Latest, people.